going to look at having a relational database now with multiple linked tables, just to see why that's a good idea and how we go about it. So my database, I've added a couple of fields here. I've added tutor group and tutor teacher, and tutor group kind of fine. Tutor teacher, you will see here that I have got some inefficiency in that I've got the name recorded multiple times. So Mr. Dunleavy is typed in here multiple times, which is inefficient in some sense, not wildly inefficient in this case, but you can imagine with a big database with lots and lots of records, having everything, so many items stored would be inefficient, and it gives me opportunity to do things like misspelling Mr. Dunleavy's name, and if, for example, Mr. Dunleavy was to go off to do something more important and he had a new tutor teacher, then we would have to change in multiple places who his new tutor teacher is. Again, not a big deal when there's only 3 records, but if it was hundreds, thousands of records, then that would be a problem. So we're going to resolve this by using a linked table to store the tutor group and tutor teacher. So what am I going to do? I'm going to firstly go and create a new table. So this is going to be table 1, and I'm going to go into design view on it, and I'm going to call it TBL tutor groups. And we definitely want to keep the auto number ID, because that's going to be the primary key in this field, which uniquely identifies each tutor group. And by having an auto number, we know it is unique every time. I'm just going to put in those same 2 fields that I had before, tutor group and tutor teacher. And I'm going to stick with a short text on each of those. Should be plenty. I could, for the tutor group, change this to 4. I will change it to 4 because I know it's only ever going to be 4 characters long. Tutor groups only ever are in this school. So go back to datasheet view and let's add in a tutor group, shall we? How about we do TDLY with Mr. Dunleavy, and we're also going to add in TSMH with Mr. Smith, and we could add in some more. So what we will see here is that TDLY is stored once only. Just taking careful note here, TDLY ID 1. Remember that for the future. Close that down. So let's get rid of these because we've got that information elsewhere now. And we're going to have tutor ID here. Now it needs to be the same type of data if we're going to link, and I happen to know we just open and check. So in this case the ID is an auto number and it's a long integer. So close that down again. So let's make this a number and it's a long integer. It's not auto number, of course, because the auto number is happening in the other field. So if I just have a quick, it'd be clearer when I save this and have a look. Tutor ID, I can now say that Fianna is in tutor ID 1, and so is Renard, and Anton's is in tutor group 2, and Frederic is in 1. So I've now stored the information that this is Mr. Dunleavy, this student is in Mr. Dunleavy's tutor group, so is this one, and this one's in Mr. Smith's, with a single piece of data here, and then that refers to this one here. Now, unfortunately, of course, where are we? Yeah, this table here. You know, having that 1 in the other table is not as clear as it might be. So what we need to do is actually set up the relationship and do the queries that we want to. So I'm just going to close that, everything saved, and go into database tools and relationships. Now there's 2 tables, so I'm going to bring both in, double click, done, and just drag that down so we can see things. So the relationship is that the tutor ID here refers to this ID in the table tutor groups over here. So I'm just going to drag one to the other, and I tick, tick, tick. Let's not worry about why I tick those just right now. That can be a discussion for another time. And click create. And what that's created is a one-to-many relationship. So one tutor group can have many students within it. So if I hit close, it'll ask me to save, and that won't have changed anything else. We'll just double check that it still looks right. Yep, it does. So the magic happens when we create a query. So let's go into the query design, never the wizard, and we're going to add both tables this time. And magically, because we've done the relationship, the relationship appears here as well, which is the main reason for actually doing the relationship. So what I'm going to do, family name, given name is enough. Oh, I seem to have got that twice, so get rid of that one. And tutor group, and tutor teacher. And then if I go into datasheet view, there we go. I've got exactly what I wanted. TDLY, Mr. Dunleavy, Mr. Dunleavy. But this is not repeated information now. This is only stored once. So if I'm going to save my query because it's always good. QRY members with tutors, and close that down. So if I now go into tutor groups and say, oh no, not Mr. Dunleavy anymore, that's Mr. Crow now, and open up the query, they've all changed by making one change. That's the fundamental reason why we do relational databases with linked tables. It's to solve that whole repeated data problem.